Meeting come to order, please. Public comment, anybody's got a public comment, raise your hand, you'll be recognized, go to the podium, name, address, 3 minutes. We're moving on at this point. Item number 3, racetrack manager, Joe Bissett.
Come before you tonight, wanting to have Monster Truck Show on May 20th, which is already on one of the dates that are approved on the schedule we had, and Demolition Derby on October 13th is another date that's on the schedule that's already been approved.
What day are those anyways, do you know?
May 20th is a Sunday afternoon,
Okay.
and October 13th is a Saturday.
Police chief?
We don't have any issues with these. There was a monster truck show there a number of years ago. Weren't any issues, and the demolition derby actually was a great success. No issues at all. So I've talked to Chief Nemeth about this, and he hasn't got any concerns about either one of them either.
Thank you. Scott? Anything else?
That's it for right now. Just like I said, just like to fill those 2 dates, and like we talked about last year, after the demolition derby got posted before I could talk to you about it, it took a life of its
I
own.
remember.
That's why we're here, to make sure we're all on the same page before we post it out on social media, and it takes a life of its own.
Okay. I appreciate that. Therefore, I move to accept the Lee USA Speedway's request to hold a monster truck show event on May 20th and a demolition derby event on October 13th.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, sir. Second item, actually the 4th item at this point, Jim Rozecki, Facilities Director, please. And we're talking about, obviously, the addition to Westway School.
Hi, good evening, Select Board, Jim Rozicki, West River Schools. I don't want to bore you guys with details. I imagine you guys are well aware of why we're doing the project over at Massway. But through the recommendation of the planning board, we have want to bring before you an option, well, not an option, but to seek your permission on removing 1 tree on town property, which borders the field. I put together in sheet 1 as far as what our access point would be to the rear of that building on our property. But the tree that is in question is just right on the edge there, and even though we're not going to be specifically driving over that, we feel that the tree is going to be compromised as the vehicles drive over the root systems, and it would be beneficial to remove that. And if there is any questions that you guys may have about the tree in question, I think we captured some good pictures of it. And is addressed.
What's going to happen with the tree when you take it down?
Tree company's gonna take it away and use it for something.
I just, sometimes when we take trees down in the town of Lee, somebody uses them for something, right? So I just wondered at this point.
It's a pine tree.
It's a pine tree at this point. Do you suspect any of the damage in the boundary between the town of Lee and Massway School? With the trucking, I mean.
Again, I don't think we're gonna be driving on the property itself,
Okay.
but the area that is accessed, even on our property as well, is gonna be cleaned up afterwards and reseeded and addressed. We're thinking actually about creating a paved walkway so we can get full access around the school site.
And remind me again when you might start this?
We're shooting for the first week of April.
Okay. Questions?
I assume the Conservation Commission had no, because Bill, I know Bill was there, but didn't say anything, so I don't know if,
I have not heard anything.
I didn't either, so
I'm assuming that it's not a problem.
no news is good news.
Mira and Julie, anything?
Yeah, no, I guess the only thing I just wanted to bring up is when we were at the sidewalk the other day, they indicated they were gonna be using the school property for staging. And that's the property that's obviously to the right of the school, to the left of the ball field. So there might be some kind of no man's land in there. And he had indicated the other day that he was gonna be putting up snow fence to delineate that line. So,
Don't you normally use construction fence when you do those things?
Yes, that's what we were referring to. I mean, usually there's, construction sites, there's a silt fence of some sorts, but it's not gonna, the fencing is not gonna be like a chain link or a metal fence.
Is there a reason why?
Just because there's not gonna be a whole lot of access back there.
Mhm.
Again, if that's a recommendation, I can certainly bring that to our general contractor's attention.
I wish you'd bring it to them, at least ask them at this point if it's a requirement.
Sure.
You have a comment, Larry?
I have a question.
Please.
Larry Kinberg, Recreation Commission. This is kind of the first I've heard of this, and I was kind of wondering, you're going to start April 1st. We have our Easter egg hunt, and we usually have it on that part of the property over there. We stage behind the school, and then use the whole field. I don't know if that's going to interfere with anything. It's going to be March 31st, Saturday, March 31st.
Oh, you're.
Starting now.
Okay.
Good, I'm glad you cleared that up, because it is a major event in Lee, that's for sure.
Jim, can you share with the board the information about who's going to be using this access road, and also the access by the cement trucks and large construction vehicles will not be on this road, it'll be on the backside? Can you?
Absolutely, sure. Well, our dilemma is by starting in April, school's still in session. So being mindful of the student safety, the reason why we would like to access through the front off the bus loop is to avoid any traffic interacting with children that are maybe playing on the playground. So this is really a light utility, more for construction workers, pickup trucks, maybe even a box truck, depending on weight, because we're not going to be bringing in a whole lot of soils to make it ready for a cement truck of that nature. All larger vehicles like cement trucks and steel deliveries and anything larger in weight is going to still continue to access out back by through the playground area. We've already started having conversations with the principal about and school teachers about the careful timing of that.
And then during the summer, they can,
Correct.
because school's not in session.
Right. The majority of the steel and concrete is going to be done at the beginning of the project, and just the way that the weeks might work out, we may just highly recommend to our GC to have all that stuff done over the April break, which would be ideal for that, and keep the traffic over there.
Can you also share, and I don't know if you've got enough information at this moment, but there's also a plan to extend the cafeteria out next year? I don't know if you've got any information you can share with us?
Well, that was another thing that we haven't put out to the community yet, but we do want to campaign for it next year around budget time, but our cafeteria is too small. And we're doing this because of the growth of the school, so our plan is, this is the cafeteria right here on the lower left-hand side, this little bump out. By extending it, I think we would like to, we're foreseeing adding, I think it's about like 700-800 square feet, just continuing the box out right into the edge of the walkway. And again, it's kind of new, hot off the press, in the design work, but we'll have to obviously touch base with Chief Nemeth and Chief Johnsfeld, because that is kind of going into the fire lane there, and we would ask for an exception there.
Okay, thanks.
And last time we talked, there was another addition that you got funding for, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, is that gonna happen? April?
Yep, that's going to happen in tandem. That was a really neat project. We put that in, we didn't actually want to make it part of this project, but we took advantage of the state of New Hampshire has the security grant available, excess funds. So we just went out on a limb and applied for the grant, and we received it. So 80% of the project for that front map office addition is funded through the grant. And So we're like, hey, why not? Instead of doing any other capital projects, we just take any other excess funds and throw it at that.
Sounds good.
And you're gonna do that one during the summer? So,
I believe that we're gonna start excavating and start framing it at the same time.
oh, okay.
So a big part of this project, since we don't want buses and anybody interacting with that area, we are gonna be, if you look at the school from the parking lot, you'll see a hole that was bricked up on this side right by the cafeteria. We're gonna do some remodeling of that and make that the main entrance while construction's in session.
Yeah, some of us remember that's the entrance to the kindergarten, years and years and years ago.
Because that front, where the main office is now, used to be a kindergarten class.
Yeah.
Years and years and years and years and years ago.
Trying to tell me something?
No, I'm trying to say that I'm old, because I can remember that, so. Okay.
Therefore, I move to allow the Oyster River School Cooperative School District cut down one tree in the town of Lee property located in the northerly side of the Mastway School as marked.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Matt Globe, Oyster River Youth Association Director.
Don't see Matt
make it?
here yet, but maybe we can move on.
We'll just move on, yeah.
Talk about it, otherwise.
When he
we
comes
can talk about
in,
it.
let me know. Item number 6, Larry Kinberg, Recreation Commission Chairman. Set the board with a new member application for approval.
I'd like to introduce Michael Bardero, who is a resident of Lee. He's applied to join the Recreation Commission, came to our February meeting, and we had an opportunity to meet and discuss what we do, and he's decided he'd like to do this. So we approved his application. We hope he will do so also.
You want to say a few words about yourself?
Sure.
Yeah.
So my name is Mike Navarro. I've been a resident of Lee for about a year and a half now. I'm just looking to get a little more involved in the town. Recreation Commission seemed like a good place to start, so I came to Larry's meeting, and sounds like a great opportunity. Wanted to just dedicate a little bit of my free time to help make Lee a more fun place.
Free time?
Yeah, that I have. Yeah. So hope you guys accept my membership.
Good.
I'm fine.
Okay. Do we need a motion? No.
It's fine.
One more signature and you're legal.
Can I take a moment to update you?
Please.
We met on February 6th, and we set our program schedule, which I'll pass out a copy, unless you've already taken care of that. We've planned the Easter egg hunt for March 31st. The fishing derby is set for Saturday, May 12th, and the Stevens family has graciously, once again, allowed us to use their property. Family movie night, we're working on coming up with some titles for that. We have two evenings for that. The second family movie night will be announced, but we did last year, we dovetailed it with the Lee Fair, and try to do that again this year. Model Rocket Day last year was a huge success. We had some 60 people there, and we hope to build on that. And that's scheduled for Saturday, July 21st. And a couple of new programs, potential new programs. One of our selectmen has recommended a model drone day. So we're going to look into that and put him in charge. He's not here, so he's...
That's why you're going to put him in charge,
Yeah.
I guess.
And Michael has brought an idea of a music in the park pavilion, and he's researching that, and we'll be looking into maybe setting up something along those lines during the summer.
I think both of those sound very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
So that's kind of where we're at. I know you guys were asking about signs for the new trees.
Yes.
Our big concern, we have not come up with a solution to vandalism. So, still working on that. We're going to be planning a work day once the weather breaks, because we do need to get fertilizer spikes in with the new trees.
Yes.
So we're going to take care of that. And I think that's about it at the moment.
Questions, Scott?
Are you doing like the children's movie night and then an
Yes.
adult type one?
Yes, the first one was, as we did last year, was geared pretty much for children. And the second one will be more of a family.
Do you know what the shows are? You just still picking?
We don't know yet. We're still working on that.
But with the same big screen and,
Oh, yeah, the same big screen outdoor, bring your blankets, chairs, we'll have popcorn and,
Excellent.
hopefully get some better attendance and build this thing a little bit, so. Hopefully the bugs won't kill us in the spring, and then, it was a little chilly at the second one, but,
Yeah, those bugs.
yeah.
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Randy Stevens, Highway Supervisor.
There's mud season upon us again. Just checking with the board, see if they want to post the roads this year.
Yes.
We did it last year. It's certainly a pain for the highway supervisor, because everybody calls up, I need to haul this, I need to haul that. But the ordinance does allow for an exemption. So if somebody's just got one delivery or something, I can give them a written exemption.
Any problem with that, Scott? Yeah, I think we should go ahead and post it. You have it within your budget, right?
Yeah, we have most of the signs anyway. There's some signs up that have been up there for years, and we have quite a few others, and I'll probably pick up a few more. 'Cause we didn't post all the roads last year. You know, it was in the ordinance, but we didn't actually put signs up on them.
which ones do you put signs on? Or which ones do you monitor? The
Snow Road, Newtown, Hayes, Pinkham, Garrity, Packers Falls, Jenkins, Wednesday Hill, Stepping Stone East, West and South, Mitchell, Tuttle, Campground, Fox Garrison, Kelsey, West Mill, Thompson Mill, Lee Hill, Cotton, Demerit, Guile, High, Birch Hill, Lee Hill Road, Old Mill.
Is it like all of our roads?
Sounds like every road in the town of Lee.
I wish it was. Okay, that was most of them back when I first started out there.
So you don't post like newer roads?
We don't post newer roads. They have a better base, less chance of through truck traffic. So I don't think it's, you know, the ordinance says till April 30th. I think the next couple of weeks is gonna be the kind of the critical time, the way the it's come a little earlier this year. Our gravel roads are in better shape right now than they were this time last year, so. I can foresee in 3 or 4 weeks, if things continue to be and say, let's lift it.
Sounds good.
I approve.
Okay, that was the easy one.
Nope.
We need to move. I have to make a motion to make it legal.
Oh, okay.
I move to authorize the highway supervisor to post weight limits on certain roads as presented to be in effect from the date of posting to April 30th, 2018. Further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
If anybody need a copy of the spreadsheet, it was in the agenda on the page.
Yeah.
What I was attempting to do in this spreadsheet shows some of the roads that need to be done and what it costs to do different types of preventive maintenance on them, I guess we'll call it. I had a pretty hard time with it because the numbers added up pretty high no matter which way I did it. So, there's a couple things. If you go over to the back side, let's go to the funding first. On the back page, possible funding, we have 34,000 paving line item I haven't spent yet. I expect that we might have a 20,000 surplus in the highway budget. That's 3-4 months ago, it's pretty early to tell. And we have the SB 38 state funds, which we had sort of split it up a little, but about 75,000 of it we have earmarked paving, transfer station road, and a few others. And then the paving line budget's 175, so it brings us up to 324. If you use all of the SB 38 money. So I guess one thing I need to know before I can finalize this is really what we'd like to have, what the selectmen would like to save in for other types of treatments like crack sealing or shimmin, greater shimming, or if they want to save any, or you want to just blow it out on paving. If I get a little better number, I can probably hone in one choice and figure out what I can do with that amount of money a little better. Personally, I'm a little more comfortable with choice C, which gives you a little more money to do some other things. The other question we have is who's going to do it? You want me to go out to bid for all of it? Really? Or you want me to? I can see it being done in phase 1 and 2. I got ahead of myself a little. Phase 1 I thought could be a paver shim, and they have several roads like Lamprey, Packers Falls, Garrity, and Pinkham that are pretty lined up pretty well, and a paver could come in and probably do them in a day, day and a half. The price wouldn't be too much more than the regular paving price, even though they're putting out less material. I was thinking that phase would take care of what surplus we have in the budget now, our paving line item and any surplus, and that could be done sometime in May probably. Phase 2 would be all the top coats. Well, I don't know, if you seal coat, and if you look at last done, on all the last column over the right, you'll notice that there's 3 roads that are only 5 years, and that's because we seal coat them.
Yeah.
And that's about all you can get out of a seal coat. Unfortunately, because we seal coat them, they weren't really in the paving plan, so now we're having to do them, it kind of throws the paving plan off a little bit. So we could seal coat them again and get another 5 years out of them, or we could put a paver shim on them and then seal them, or we could shim them and put an inch over them, which is pretty expensive. So if we do that, and then we do the latter thing, shim and pave over, we're up in using all of our money, or we have to drop our road.
If you've used or your money, what road would you drop?
I don't know. Pinkham, as you know, has a subdivision going in off of it. They want to get started. I understand in March, we have a meeting over there on Thursday. I'm kind of concerned if we don't do something to it, the trucking will bust it up worse, but then again, do you want to do it and have to take a chance of trucks to bust it? So it's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. I mean, I guess that would be, because it's a little out of the way, that would be an easy one to drop. But I don't know what it would look like next year at this time. So anyhow, I guess the 2 questions are, is the money, the funding, and how much do we spend? And the second one is, who do you want to do it? And you want me to go out to bid fairly soon? And I understand the price is up to $3, about $3 a ton right now, which is 5%, I guess, up 5%. They expect it's going to go up throughout the year as fuel prices have come up. Asphalt lags a little behind, but most everything, I'm getting increases from most everything. Concrete, you got to notice, going up $6 a ton. Aggregates are going up, so. Economy's good, prices go up. So I mean, we can, I could go out to bid for the shim and do that, and then let the next guy, whenever that comes, take care of the rest. You got all, you got a whole other year. Or we could go out, I could do the whole thing, get it over with. You tell me. A little guidance, please.
The 2 that have kind of been lagging is this building here, which we did,
Right.
and then the transfer station. I noticed the transfer station is on there. Are we gonna have the same problem with the transfer station that we had here?
No.
In terms of matching up with, no?
No, transfer station's pretty high. We probably wouldn't do inside the building anyways, and as you remember, you drive up to the building, you drive down, so.
Okay.
when you do that, it's quite easy to cut a joint in there and match in.
Okay.
The problem here was everything's so flat.
So those two were kind of like hanging back, we didn't know when we were gonna do them, so
Right, they've been
is there
14
anything else that's kind of hanging, or is just those two?
Not that I know of. They've been 14 years, which is a long time.
Yeah, it's been 14.
So this pretty much brings us kind of up to date, we're on schedule.
More or less, if we do all of these roads, yeah. I think I'm gonna make a recommendation to whoever's next, whether it be me or whatever, that next year we do some reconstruction on Snell Road, like for maybe 155 to the bridge, the 5 corners to the bridge, something like that. And I think we're gonna have to, we should start doing some more reconstruction. I can probably, next time I come in, I can probably hone this down and I can bring in like a map of how many roads we've reconstructed and what's ones that should be.
Yeah. What's your feeling, Scott?
I kind of like the idea of see what you can do this year,
Mm-hmm.
and then do the paving next fiscal year.
Shim it, you mean shim coats?
Yep. Because it's always a, you know, is the price of, you know, oil gonna go up, down, stay the same? So, I'd also like to ask the highway supervisor, he's alluded to the fact that maybe somebody else would do this. Is he officially telling us
I
that
heard
he's
that
given his
20
notice?
I will give you, hopefully, I gotta do a little financial homework, but probably opened my mouth long before I should have, about retiring.
It's already in the minutes now.
It's in minutes, yeah. Yeah, it's gonna happen, I guess. But at the end of March, at that meeting, I think it's the 26th, I will give you some kind of a letter stating the date.
Okay.
Um,
So I guess I agree with this. Go ahead with the shim coats and see if we get some bid on those.
You wanna do a separate bid for the shim?
Yep.
And then wait later?
Yes.
Okay. That's easy enough to do. So I don't need to do any more homework on the roads that are coming later, or?
Well, I'd like to see if you want to hone this a little bit. I'm not adverse to spending all the SB 38 money. I'm going to spend it eventually, we have to spend it, so
Spend on paving, you mean?
Yep.
I'm not adverse to not spending it on paving.
Right.
Let's just, if we got the expenses, just use it, get rid of it, so. It's not like we're wasting it.
No, of course not. No, I agree with that.
And then, remind me, the 38 is stuff that's an addition,
Right.
not instead of.
That's the way they wrote it.
So can these particular uses we're talking about fulfill that or not?
Even when they enacted that law, it was hard for me to understand how they were gonna distinguish, they, the state, from, oh, we were already planning to pave these roads this year, from, well, we were gonna do them eventually, because obviously eventually we plan on paving all the roads, so, and I have no idea whether they're going to ask for an audit and ask towns how we spent the money and to somehow prove that it wasn't something that we already intended to do.
Well,
But I
maybe-
would say other towns are paving roads.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So maybe we can put it in the minutes that we're spending the SB 38 money on roads that we weren't intending to spend this year, maybe to cover ourselves.
Sure.
I think, good movement, yes.
So maybe you could identify what those particular roads would be.
Well, I guess we could say the shim, for one, would be something that we probably wouldn't be able to afford to do otherwise.
Okay.
I think that's a good plan.
And the shim will give us a much better product in the end than the last one. If we don't shim it, you know, we'll be back talking about it for too many years.
Okay. So maybe you can provide us with what those roads are and those costs so we can say that we'd like to use those particular funds for this particular purpose.
Yeah, the way I see it, we take some of the money that we have in the existing operating budget, and we take some on the shim project and some out of the SB 38, and then after July 1st, we have to do the same thing.
Okay.
I can break that down somehow.
Okay. Just so the minutes reflect that that's what we're doing, that's something extra, so in case we get audited.
I guess my original plan was to do the bidding all at once, because I thought I'd get a little better price, but it's SB 38 money a lot. I guess a dollar a ton or something isn't going to make any difference. So maybe by going out early, we'll still get a good price on the shim. So that's what I will do, and I can get that bid out fairly soon.
Okay.
So when the opportunity comes, we can do it.
Sounds like a plan.
Thank you.
Thank you,
The
Randy.
guidance I needed. Oh, I should mention the new truck. So sorry.
That's so new. I'm sure.
Yeah. Warren's gonna head out early tomorrow morning and take it to Maine, to the equipment dealer. We tried to get him to come down. I understand they didn't think they'd have everything they need to fix what they'd have to fix, and they'd have to run. So the two issues they're gonna deal with is, the number one is the plow. It sticks out, if you're trying to plow the road from the cutting edge, it sticks out about 10, 12 inches into the other lane. If you're trying to cut the middle of the road out, and kind of puts people out in the ditch on these narrow roads. Because it's a one-way plow, the old one-way plow, and it quick switches, they tried to make too many things in one plow. So they had modified another one somebody complained about, so they've got a new end plate. They're gonna do that while Warren waits. And they're also gonna fix the hydraulic problem. The big problem is if you have your sander on, you try to pick your wing up. The wing doesn't pick up, just barely creeps up, and the sander goes twice as fast. So, it's a little bit hard to be precise, spreading your material, and if you get an emergency where, you know, there's a tree in front of you and somebody's coming the other way on a narrow road, you need to pick your wing up quick, you can't.
You sure do.
So they're gonna put a flow divider valve in, a priority flow divider valve, which gives the sander the first priority. So it should give the sander a constant flow, and all the excess, and not anymore, and all the excess will go to the wing, so, and the plow equipment. So I think it's gonna work all right, and it's adjustable too, so we can hold it, so. Those are two big issues. I'm fairly confident by the end of the winter we'll have most of the bugs out of it.
Hopefully, for the next.
The truck itself is really no problem. It's powerful, it's got good traction, looks nice, got good visibility. So the truck itself, so far, has been pretty good, except for the injection wire not being bad. No, just a lot of little things with it that I think they were kind of rushing it, but the body company's been very good about being responsive to it. They're good people. Unfortunately, 100 miles away, so
Yeah, I'm driving a half.
hence Warren's got to start early.
And there's,
Randy.
and they're covering all this, Randy? There's
Oh, yeah.
no cost to
Oh, yeah,
that?
no cost to us. Except I think we're gonna have to pay the darn tolls, but.
Keep going, he's back to the end, he's not here, but I can talk about it a little.
Next item, Julie Glover.
Julie Glover.
You may recall, a couple of meetings ago, we discussed a letter that we had received from the New Hampshire Department of Transportation relative to the crosswalk at Mastway. The state has plans to pave or redo a portion of that road, and they have made a determination that it is not, that the crosswalk does not meet standards, and so they will not continue to maintain the crosswalk. So at that time, the board and Superintendent Morse asked that I send a letter to DOT saying that we were unhappy with that decision, and then the response back was the lengthy letter that you saw in the agenda packet. And I spoke with Primex, our insurance carrier, and laid the issue out to them, and the answer that I got back was, if we were to proceed and put the crosswalk in, we would be liable if something were to happen, and we would run the risk of not having insurance coverage if something would happen, because we were going against the advice of DOT and presumably best engineering practices. I also spoke to DOT, and they said we could hire our own engineers and see whether we got a different opinion and then move forward based on that. But I don't know, quite frankly, whether we would get a different opinion from an engineer. So it would be my recommendation at this time that we accept the DOT's decision not to continue that crosswalk. And even if we tried, this was the other thing, even if we tried to say, well, okay, we won't do it, but G School, if you want to do it, go ahead. Towns are responsible for roads, so we can't put that liability on the school, so.
Please.
Okay, and I asked the police chief, when you guys are out there monitoring, like, when school gets out, do you ever see anybody using that?
No, Dr. Morse had emailed me, and I called him this morning, we discussed this a little bit. My concern with that letter, and I told him, there was, I don't remember the exact verbiage, but basically, the gentleman from the DOT said that we think this is unsafe to have here. So I said, do we then take on a liability issue if somebody does get hurt? And the state's like, hey, we told you it wasn't safe. And it's right there for a 91A request for anybody to see it. So I'm concerned about that right there, and he agreed. And I also told him, I said, as long as I've been here, I've probably seen people crossing that crosswalk maybe 3 times. The people who bought Brian Burke's old home, not the current people that are in there, but the ones prior had a young child, they would walk directly across the street from their house and then come up the dirt side of the road. They wouldn't walk up to the crosswalk. And there's a young family on Allen's Ave, they just cross right at Allen's Ave, go right up the driveway, jump on the sidewalk in front of the school, so I really don't see that anybody uses it.
I think we're in agreement, aren't we? Let it talk then.
Okay, thank you. We wanted to talk about the election on March 13th, the ballot session, and the select board coverage for that date. We usually, obviously break it into thirds, the morning shift, the middle of the day shift, and then the evening.
The AM, the PM, and the evening. I'll take
the middle. Mr. Brown, well, that's his usual shift anyway.
I think that is his usual shift.
So, what was it,
What's the morning?
7 till 12, and then 12 to 5, and then 5 until something?
5 to
5 until
whatever.
it's finished.
Yeah.
It's done.
So the polls close at 7, but then
Then-
obviously there's
then you-
counting. Yep.
8:30, something like that.
Yeah. No, that sounds good.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
And Art Sawtell will bring some the ice cream left over from the town fair.
Did you do that last year?
I don't know, but it looked like it had some edges to it.
Did it?
I'm kind of fro-
The 250th cake is still down there, I think. So you can have that. And the hot
There's
dogs.
still some 250th cake hanging around.
Yes. But the hot dogs and hot dog buns from, what, a year and a half ago were still down there too?
Yeah.
Probably a freezer
There's
burn.
probably
but-
some stuff in there that should go away.
So I don't know what happened to Mr. Glode, so I'll just talk very briefly about the changes to the MOU. The changes that you see, with the exception of the date changes, I just made some adjustments to the dates to try to sync it up with reality in terms of when we actually address it. All of the other recommended changes came from ORYA, and that relates to issues that they had last year with 2 private recreation, I think they were both soccer leagues, and they used our fields pretty intensively. And I think that there were some issues not only over scheduling, but fees and who takes priority. So all of the language that he is proposing in here is to address those issues. He's also felt, I think ever since he's gotten here, that we weren't charging enough money for the use of our fees in comparison to what other towns do. So you'll see in here, not only is he recommending increase to the fees for the multi-purpose field and the baseball field, but to start charging for Stevens Field and the town field. So I think what I would recommend at this time, I know that the Recreation Commission wanted to maybe have more time to look at the recommended changes. So I'll let Mr. Kinberg know, and to please ask that the Rec Commission take it up at their next meeting, so that hopefully the board can finalize this at the next meeting in March. Because last year, it just kind of got kicked around and dragged out for 2 months. And obviously, you know, there's everybody begging to get on the fields by the beginning of April.
Yes.
One other thing I wanted to mention, Matt Glode, the director of ORYA, was also at the site walk for the school and the changes at Massway, because they use the town field for the younger kids' t-ball. He didn't think that there were going to be any issues. That's one of the reasons I just raised the question of the fence, because the kids, they might be little and they might not be able to hit the ball that far, but that is where they are gonna be playing. And I know that they're just saying they're gonna use that area immediately adjacent to the ball field to stage. But I don't know, it just felt like it might be a better idea to have more of a fence there than snow fence.
Yeah, because the field is not the property line.
Right,
It
That's
goes
true.
diagonally across.
Right.
Yeah, I saw that, even though I didn't make it to the sidewalk, I did walk it
yeah.
afterwards, and the tennis court is very close to that edge, the corner of the building. So maybe, that's why I was pushing in the chain link fence, and maybe we should force that issue at this time.
I don't know exactly what they're gonna put up, because if it's those steel rods
With
with
the
the
orange
orange fence,
Right.
those are, and they put things on top of them, but with little kids out there, I don't know. I would be concerned about their safety out there. There will be adults there too, but
Right,
if you're a little kid and you're trying to catch a fly ball out there and you keep running, at least with the Green Monster, you had padding.
yeah.
This, you're not gonna have that, so I don't know.
Well, I can reiterate to Jim and the school, the superintendent, that we'd really like to see a more substantial fence than just snow fence.
You can explain the situation about the
Because
T-wall and
kids
all
are
the
gonna
other
be using
things.
the field. Does the board have any questions on this or any thoughts about the changes in the fees?
Please.
Why are we switching from from January to December to April to March?
I was just trying to, because we never, quite frankly, we didn't really follow the dates that were in here. I'm just trying to sync it up with, we tend to address the MOU in January, February, March, to sync with the start of the season, which is the beginning of April. That was the only reason. It was just to recognize reality in terms of when we actually look at this.
Well, I'd like us to consider going back, because,
To set the fees January 1st, is that what you?
well, to set the whole thing back to a January and then just remember to do it in November or whatever, because if we decide not to go with them and it goes until March,
Not to go with whom?
let's say we don't continue the MOU. Things
Oh.
don't continue forever.
Yeah,
That doesn't give people enough notice
yeah,
that they can't use our fields anymore, or
yeah.
the thing is gonna be changing. I would rather give them much more heads
I
up.
guess the other only hesitation I would have is, we're neck deep in budgets and meetings and all of that. And, it's just one more thing to have to address at that time of the year.
Well, maybe we can skew it in the middle, maybe, or something. I don't know. I just think if we decide, hey, we're working on this right at the moment, we decide not to do it. That gives them, what, a month to figure out where else they're gonna play?
Well, I think we have to give them, there's
30
some
days
notice
notice.
provision, 30 days.
So, but that's not very much time.
No, no.
The chief, I think, had a, no, oh, he didn't have a comment? He was just raising. I see.
Listen, the chair never saw anything. He's hiding over there. I can't see him anyway. If he really wanted, he would have popped up, right?
Well, the January 1st date was, we said that fees shall be established on a yearly basis, shall take effect on January 1st. It's just we never did that.
Oh, okay.
The MOU expires the end of March.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking in terms of going, it's not gonna continue forever. At some point, it's gonna stop, but it doesn't give people very much, or them, very much time to say, hey, we can't use those fields in Lee anymore. We have to find someplace else. It's just a
Well,
logistical
but I don't know,
consideration.
that year's not this year.
I know, but it'll come eventually, I would think, but.
Can we make that a note for next year?
Yeah.
I understand.
Well, I mean, I'm sure ORYA will be concerned to hear that there may come a time in the near future when they're not gonna be able to use any town of Lee fields.
I'm not saying that's tomorrow, I'm not saying it's 2 years from now, I'm saying at some point. You never can predict what the future holds.
You never can predict.
And I will find out why Matt wasn't here, and please make sure that he can be here at the next meeting, so.
You have anything else?
No?
Oh, can I ask, how did it go this last year? No episodes with padlocks or anything, it seemed to go okay?
No, I'm not aware of any episodes like that. I don't recall hearing of any issues from Mr. Stevens, other than because of the intensive use by those two private organizations, I think the fields got beat up a lot.
Did we have to do any extra work on them because of this?
Not that I recall hearing, no,
No.
no.
Okay. We good? Okay, next item. I move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Yes,
Oh.
yes, I do, I have a
Yes.
discussion.
He has a discussion. Uh-oh.
Now, do we need to pull one out? I just have a question for the chief about this.
Is it in the consent agenda? Oh, because,
Yeah,
oh, okay, yep.
it is.
Well,
Because it's in the
yeah.
manifest.
Pull the manifest, say, I want to remove the manifest from the consent agenda.
I want to remove the manifest
All
from the
right.
consent
Now
agenda.
you can approve the consent agenda, and then we'll take that up as a separate item.
Okay.
Okay. I move to accept the consent agenda as presented with the removal of
The
manifest.
Second.
All right, further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
All right.
All right, aye, legal.
I have a question for the chief. It involves the Eastern Alarms and Communication. Can you explain what this is? It sounds like you had something damaged because of a power surge, and it's very expensive.
I don't think that, it wasn't a power surge.
It says by probable power surge. Yeah, don't you?
Well, that's what they're saying it was. We can't prove it. That was their best guess.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no proof that that's what it was. It wasn't any, didn't appear to be any heat damage or anything to it.
So is this the thing that combines all the camera inputs?
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
And then records?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it just stopped working and,
Yeah, it stopped working in segments. One camera stopped working, then a short time later another. That's why I don't think it was a power surge, because it was incremental, how it went out. And they could have taken it out, sent it to be refurbished, and it was only a few $100s less than upgrading to that one.
so we don't know what happened to it, just wasn't under warranty or anything like
No,
that?
they said that they'd take it back and take a deeper look at it. There
Okay,
just wasn't anything they could do on site, but we couldn't have the cameras down,
okay, all right,
obviously.
all right. Thank you.
Be there for a second, make sure everything's signed. Put all the different, so I have to keep spinning over for.
Yes.
And also change the settings so it stays displayed, and once in a while it just goes dark, I gotta play with it.
Okay.
So make sure the setting,
We'll try to
display
figure it
on
out.
all the.
I think we can put a timer on it. Okay, yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah,
But otherwise, I think it's pretty good.
okay.
Might as well have to keep
Yeah.
spinning if I want to, but all the
Yeah.
recommendations.
Yeah.
It's okay, Denise?
Mhm.
Item number 10, I move to enter a non-public session, New Hampshire RSA 91-A:3-2C. Do I hear a second?
Second,
Roll call vote, Mr. Buckley?
yes.
Mr. LaForce, yes, motion carries. Thank you. Move to seal the minutes, is there a second?
Second?
Roll call, Mr. Bugby?
Yes.
Mr. LaCourse, yes. Motion carries, these are sealed. Miscellaneous, anything on your side, Scott?
I have three things. One of them requires a little bit of folding.
Okay. Got me now.
This is not the final version, but it's
Okay.
the almost final version. But this is a pamphlet we're gonna pass out. No calls to action, so we won't get hung out by the electioneering people. But it's a pamphlet we're gonna pass out at the transfer station on the 3rd and the 10th. Boy Scouts cannot do the 3rds, but they may be doing the 10th, so we're gonna have to see if we can staff it. But it talks about ballot Article 5 and number 6, basically giving them information, also direct them to the website if they want to know more information about it. But we're meeting tomorrow evening to finalize it, but that's like an advance copy, just as a FYI that that's going to be out there, so nobody comes and says, "Love that pamphlet, John," and John says, "What pamphlet?"
What pamphlet?
So now at least you've seen
At
it.
least I know what's going on. You see the pamphlet?
I have not seen it.
Okay, now you can see the pamphlet. Nice job, Lex.
But we're going to have them around in different town buildings too, in the Little Holders Library, Town Hall, Public Safety Facility, Transfer Station, and some local businesses too, so people can pick them up. So,
Market basket here.
but, yes, I have to see. They don't really have any place. You can put it up on the wall. I don't know. We'll have to see. So that's one thing. Any questions?
No, that looks good. Thank you.
Another thing Eric sent out to me, I don't know if you got a chance to see this. I'm interested in going to this. It's, it came in the email from Eric today. So it looks like something, just based on the vote that comes in on the 13th, that would be very useful in terms of engaging the public for that particular project, Town Center Building project. So that's one thing I would like us to consider. Last thing I have is, we had a semi-emergency meeting in the Lamprey Cooperative Trucking Group about our truck and our driver. Not to say anything, but the trucking group is getting out of the trucking business. So we're looking to sell the truck. And we got some information in terms of what we will still owe on it. The cooperative lent us the money, the whole cooperative lent us the money, the trucking group the money. And if they charge us interest, we'll owe about $10,000 to pay off the truck. If they don't charge us interest, we'll owe about $6,800. But the thing is, we're gonna be selling the truck, so we don't know exactly what the truck is worth. The balance owed, if they charge us interest, about $53,000. The truck's probably worth about that. So most likely, we wouldn't have to pay the $10,000, it would be whatever, yeah, it's gonna be a small amount. So just a heads up on that. I can't say why we're getting out of the trucking business, but it's a human resources issue.
We'll leave it at
So
that.
we'll leave it at that. So, but just a heads up on that. So if we sell the truck, which we probably will, one of the people that's in the trucking group, Epping, is considering buying it, so it might stay in the same group. But instead of hauling our own MSW and other things, we would hire the, most likely the shipyard company, but we're looking, the shipyard hauling. But they're looking into that in terms of if there's a better price, so, but just an update on that, so.
Looks nice, nice job. That should get people's attention, that's for sure.
Well,
As long as we, like you said, pass it over and see what happens.
all the members of the committee who worked on this, most of them are here in this room at the moment. So
I
thank
can
you to the
imagine.
Tappins.
One is not a member of the committee.
But she's one of the members, Rhodey?
Yeah, Rhodey.
Which one of them, so.
She spent more time on that than I did.
And we also sent this to different people who are not on the committee to give them, have them give us some feedback. So far, I've got one back with some comments. So we're gonna be talking about that, but just in terms of getting their impression, in terms of if you got this, would you have any questions or, you know, whatever. There was also a thing in the newspaper,
Yes?
which I have to thank the town administrator sarcastically for getting me stuck with that. The reason was, you and I had this conversation already. The photographer shows up, because the person writing the article, he's an intern, so he's a student at UNH. So they bring him in for 6 weeks, get them feet wet, and then they leave. So this was the guy that's been there 17 years as a photographer. So he says, let me just record this so I can hear your words, so when the article is written, we can quote you correctly. Well, no, he wasn't doing that. He was taking video at the same time. So I appeared in the video on the, and it was a interesting surprise, so. It wasn't as polished as I would like to have been, but whatever, so.
Well, at least you got the point across, huh?
Well, hopefully, we'll see. Maybe that's why that sign is up there in somebody's yard, because they saw the video and it's like, oh.
Well, I don't have anything special. You have anything?
No.
Denise? Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you.